The Atlanta Braves take down the Seattle Mariners 4-1 in game one of their series. And it's a lot more fun when the Braves win. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That is Jake Mastroianni, host of Locked On Braves. Follow him on social media at Shortstop Ball. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Braves, wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Jake has takes, and they're really good ones, so make sure you check those out. And speaking of takes, I want to talk about this surprisingly dominant Braves team tonight. Just Chris Sale looking absolutely fantastic. And then Atlanta getting, after Dylan Lee left the game, some lockdown relief from Tyler Kinley, from Raisel Iglesias. I think that's Kinley's second win in like the last week or so. He just keeps vulturing these things away. In Atlanta's 4-1 win over Seattle. And I think where I want to start, the offense was great in the eighth inning. We're going to get to that. But I want to start with Chris Sale, because I think there were a lot of people who were a little hesitant about the idea of Chris Sale working to get back before the season ended. It's like you got 5 weeks left. The season's over, as people like to say, because they're not going to make the postseason. But this performance tonight was another performance as good as what he was doing last season. 4 hits in 6 2/3 innings. The one run that's given up is actually an inherited runner of Dylan Lee's. He gives up 2 singles to start off his outing, allows the run to score. No walks, 9 strikeouts, under 100 pitches. This is the most dominant version of Chris Sale that we've seen really all season, it feels like, since coming back off the IL.
Yeah, I mean, I know he had the slow start to begin the season, struggling a little bit, and then he kind of got on a roll there and started to look more like his Cy Young self. But 2 starts coming back, I mean, he, as you mentioned, he's looked at least as good as he ever has in a Brave uniform. I mean, and as dominant as he can possibly be. And so it's good to see that. Again, I'd be surprised if they don't manage his workload a little bit the rest of the way. I mean, I know the season's almost over, but no reason to really push him. And even tonight, I mean, 92 pitches, I think if the Braves are in it, you probably leave Chris Sale out there to try to get through that inning himself. Mm-hmm. But it's just great to see for next year, right? I mean, you think about, obviously we're all hopeful you give Strider an off season. He's going to look good. Hopefully Schwelly, gets healthy and comes back. But you got Chris Sale able to pitch like this and be that Cy Young contender at the top of your rotation. And you feel really good about your chances. Now he is a year older. He's had a lot of injuries here lately. That is certainly a concern, but at least right now when healthy and he's out there, mm-hmm. This is what he's capable of doing. He's capable of just dominating a lineup and being a Cy Young contender. I mean, I truly think he would be if he stayed healthy. Zach Wheeler too. If he stayed healthy, I think they'd be right there with Paul Skeens in that Cy Young discussion. So it's just great to see Chris Sale be able to come back, throw these innings at the end, get some good feelings going into the offseason, knowing that he is still one of the best pitchers in baseball when he's healthy.
Yeah. Like if I had to pick an opening day starter right now for next season, it's Chris Sale. I mean, and obviously that depends on how they line up in spring and all of that kind of stuff. But it feels like Chris Sale is the guy that you trust, not only finishing this year strong, but being that same guy next season. So I think it's a good development for Atlanta. This is part of the reason, and Snit talked about this. This is part of the reason why, if these guys want to come back, you let them come back, because they need the confidence. They want the confidence of knowing, hey, I am fully healthy. Everything is working. My offseason can just be focusing on making sure that I am ready to go for the year versus making sure I am healthy and making sure I can do my job. And I think you saw that last year too, with Chris Sale sticking around in Atlanta after they were eliminated to finally get back on the mound, throw a bullpen before he went home for the year after they were eliminated. So part of the reason you keep him around. I do want to talk about Dylan Lee, though, because we saw him, I mentioned it earlier, we saw him give up 2 singles there in the 7th when he took over for Sale, allowed the run to score. Obviously, that's not charged to him. Like his ERA actually went down in this outing after getting that one out, but he was charged with a blown save, his 7th of the year. And I want to give you his pre and post All-Star game stats because I think they're kind of surprising. A lot of people maybe not realize how rough his second half has been. Pre All-Star break, 42 and a third innings, 2.55 ERA, 6 homers, 10 walks, 45 strikeouts. Okay. Whip of like 0.92. Since the All-Star break, 5.40 ERA. He also has 6 homers, but in 18 innings, 4 walks, 20 strikeouts, whip of 1.3. Is this just like a workload thing? Is some of this bad luck? Like, to me, he doesn't look like he's that much different of a guy from the first half, but he's just not getting the results in the back half of the schedule.
Yeah, you do wonder. I see Todd saying in the comment section, maybe he's been a little bit overused. I mean, remember earlier in the season with Iggy's struggles, I mean, you were really having to rely on Dylan Lee a lot in high leverage situations, but I mean, it's still the same stuff. Like you mentioned, it's not like he's doing anything differently. Maybe if he is tired, it's just, locations maybe not as good. You look at it tonight. I mean, the first hit, it's a slider. I mean, down and away, maybe you want that out a little bit further. The second hit was on a fastball middle. I think the only fastball he threw tonight. He only threw 1 4-seam and 1 changeup. All the rest were sliders. And so that one fastball just happened to be middle. So it could be some of that maybe he's just a little bit tired. He got a little bit overworked in the first half as the Braves really just needed somebody they could trust. And he was great. And he was that guy that you continually went to. Maybe it's just a second half correction to a great first half. I mean, but Dylan Lee's been good for years. Yeah, it does give you some concern. We talked about it with a lot of these relievers. It's kind of an audition in the last month. You don't really think about it for Dylan Lee just because he has been proven and he's been there for a while. But if the staff is concerned, I don't know, and I don't see enough in the data for Dylan Lee for me to say whether or not I'm concerned about him going forward. But if the front office feels that might make increase your odds of going and finding another reliever this offseason. I mean, because Dylan Lee is. You were expecting him to be one of your setup guys, one of your main relievers. And if all of a sudden he's somebody that you're not sure about and you don't trust, well, then you got to find somebody else because he is supposed to be one of your guys, your 7th, 8th inning guys, maybe somebody that he can even close a game for you if needed. So that's something that the Braves like to figure out and hopefully something they can see down the stretch here. If it just is something mechanical, hopefully he can figure it out. Maybe he is just tired. It's a workload issue and it's just missing location. I don't know what it is. Like I said, I can't pinpoint it myself, but Braves certainly need to because they got to figure out what they have in Dylan Lee.
Yeah. And on your note, I think I'm hopeful at least that they learned this year you can't just lose 2 setup men and Joe Jimenez and AJ Minter and expect to just replace them by grabbing a bunch of minor league deals and hoping they work out. Right. So I'm hopeful that they learned a lesson from this and going forward, if they do feel like Dylan Lee's not that guy, they go out and prioritize getting that guy to go along with whoever ends up being the closer, right? Is it Raisel Iglesias coming back? Is it a different free agent? Is it Ronaldo Lopez moving to the pen, whatever it might be? Tyler Kinley also looked really good. I feel like both him and Iglesias, I mean, practically perfect innings. There was 1 strikeout from Iglesias, but other than that, just both guys did really well. I kind of want to get to the offense, though, because this was incredibly fun in that 8th inning, and it was just powered by the top of the order. And it was, again, not home runs. It was hustle doubles, things like that. We'll break that down next right here on the Braves Postcast. This episode is brought to you by Zippix Toothpicks. Whether you're looking for nicotine satisfaction or an energy boost, Zippix has you covered with their nicotine or caffeine-infused toothpicks. For nicotine users, Zippix gives you a discreet way to satisfy cravings and that hand-to-mouth habit without smoking. It can also be a helpful tool as you work to reduce your dependence on vaping. They're available in 6 great flavors with 2 milligram and 3 milligram nicotine options. And if you need energy without the crash, their caffeine toothpicks are a game changer. I've used the caffeine toothpicks for long drives. It gives me energy without me needing to constantly drink energy drinks or coffee or soda and the corresponding pit stops you have to make when you drink a bunch of liquid. They give me energy, and they've got some fantastic flavors. Everything from stuff like peppermint, watermelon ice to just kind of conventional things like bourbon flavored toothpicks, right? So go to Zippix Toothpicks, Zippix Toothpicks.com. Use code Locked On for 10% off your first order. Must be 21 or older to order. Warning required. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's ZippixToothpicks.com. promo code Locked On. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix toothpicks. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. The grape ginger and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite with a non-alcoholic boost. It's perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game, whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day. Because 5 Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. And now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament, that's not the Masters, in the United States. So tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. All right, Jake, Braves win this one 4-1, and I'm having trouble figuring out who the MVP is offensively, right? I don't know if it's Jurickson Profar. He goes 2 for 4. He scores twice. He hits 2 doubles. Both of his hits are doubles. Or if it's Ozzie Albies, who goes 3 for 4, has a triple, an RBI triple, and ultimately just was a little like it's both these guys did really well. And I think I'm kind of pointing to the 8th inning. Jurickson Profar, it looks like he thinks it's going to be a single to open the inning, and he decides partway through they're taking their time to get in there. He gets the double. Because he's on second, he can score on a Matt Olson single, and then Ozzie's triple, and then Drake Baldwin singles and Ozzie, and you end up putting up 3 runs in the inning. But I like the fact, again, they're scoring without homers, and I can't figure out which one of those guys should be the MVP tonight.
I'm going to give the edge to Profar because of the defense too. A couple of good defensive plays tonight as well. Although that one of the 9th inning, that looked like a pretty awful route. It may not have been that hard as it was, but either way, he caught it. He had some good catches, so I'm going to give it to him. You're right. I thought it was a single out of the box too, and then I don't know if J-Rod took a bad angle or what, but he ended up having to go back on the baseball. And as soon as Profar saw that, took off for second and got in easy. But yeah, what a fun 8th inning there too. So it's great to see both those guys. Ozzie, he's on one of those heaters right now. I talk about it all the time. I know you do too. Is Ozzie, when he's hot, I mean, he can be absolutely flaming hot. It's just he comes with some very cold streaks as well. But right now, you ride that wave with Ozzie, and you're going to look at his numbers at the end of the year. He keeps going like this. He's going to get that OPS up above 700. He's going to push 20 home runs or so. His average is up over 240. I mean, at the end of it, it's still not what you want from Ozzie, but you kind of factor in the really slow start that he had, and it's going to be pretty close to the guy that hits 250, 260, 20 to 30 home runs, and close to 750 OPS type of guy. So I think maybe that takes out a need for the offseason, what you've seen with Ozzie here in the second half. Certainly with that option, I thought they were always going to pick it up anyway, but I think definitely with the second half he's had, that's a no-brainer. But both those guys looking great. Profar, coming back and immediately having an impact at the top of the order. Obviously, Cunha wasn't in there tonight, but you put Profar back up there at the top, and he does some good things for you. Yeah,
and on the note for Profar, that was his 3rd kid. When you go from man to zone coverage, you get a little bit better energy boost there. Quick note on Ozzie. So this is his 8th multi-hit game in the last 10 that they've played. And he has 4 3-hit games since mid-August. So as bad as he was early, he is making up for that. And I saw a note in the chat. I didn't see who it was. I think it was Mass Boost. His swing speed from the left-hand side has been increasing in the last couple weeks. So one, I think it shows as he gets away from that wrist injury that his power is coming back. And to your point, really gives you a lot of confidence about maybe not needing to find a starting caliber second baseman in the offseason. But then 2, it also makes me wonder, are we going to see some sort of corresponding improvement for Austin Riley next year as well, as he recovers from the injury that he had last year that ended the season? He had a broken hand, wrist kind of thing that ended his season. So kind of makes me wonder, is that going to happen as well?
I want to note, Lindsay, this is maybe on a bad note. Ozzie's almost passed Michael Harrison batting average now, and he's already passed him in OPS. The hot streak that Michael Harris was on in the second half, it is kind of cratered here a little bit, and Ozzie's about to surpass him.
That is where I was going next. Yeah, it's another 0 for 4 night, 3 strikeouts. He looked like he was really struggling with the splitter tonight. Michael Harris is.
A lot of hitters were, to be fair. They all had they've seen what other teams are facing with Hurston Waldrop tonight.
There you go. Like this is the other side of that. The splitter. So something he threw. Let me see. Logan Gilbert threw 19 of them, 11 swings, 8 were whiffs.
Yeah,
Atlanta put 2 of them into play, and. Let me see. One of them was 65 miles an hour and one of them was 91. So they really kind of struggled with that. On the note, you mentioned it. On the note of Ronald Acuna Jr. So Snit talked about this. Just want to make sure everybody is kind of aware of the news on this. Because Ronald was not in today's lineup. And Snit said before the game that he wanted to give Ronald Wednesday off, heading into the off day for him to have 2 days. But Jurickson Profar being on paternity leave for his 3rd child. And then Jake Fraley had a sore foot and they didn't think he was available. So that's why Ronald was off tonight instead. The expectation is for Ronald to be back in the lineup tomorrow. He got 2 days off with the off day. That just was kind of the goal of what they were wanting to do with that. No injury concerns with Ronald. He should be back in the lineup tomorrow. Speaking of, this is going to be a really fun one. We are looking at another really good pitching matchup. This is Hurston Waldrop taking on Bryce Miller, 7:15 p.m. for this game. We will be back with you to break that whole thing down. In the meantime, do us a favor. If you're listening on audio, a 5-star review would be fantastic. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Braves, wherever you get your podcasts. Hit the notification bell so you know when Jake goes live. He had a great thing today talking about, hey, what if Ha-Seong Kim does not, in fact, pick up his option? I talked about that in the newsletter the other day. Jake also covered it on the show today. I think it's a realistic possibility. You can go watch today's episode of Locked On Braves to find out more from Jake about why he might do that. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.